most often that business owner will say employees. I want the best employees. And I'll say, well, I'm sorry, I probably can't help you. And they'll look at me odd like, what do you mean? Well, I probably can't help you. Well, why is it? Well, you want employees. You're already seated that that person is a liability, a cost of doing business. The first transition we would have to make is that you knowing and feeling that individual is a team member, an associate. And that's the first pivot I'd have to ask you to make. Welcome to Motivational Monday, conversations with me, David Ibarra. And today we're going to have a conversation with our certified Think and Grow Rich coach and mentor, and one of the leaders of eLeader Tech. We've been working together since 2007.
Yes.
Mike Hill. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, David. And it's been a good 2007. Wow, it's gone like that, hasn't it?
Sure has. We've done thousands and thousands of sessions. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But the reason that Mike and I are going to have a conversation, because this is going to be the last episode of Conversations with David Ibarra, Motivational Monday. As you can see on the screen, we're rebadging it as we develop our purpose for the next 10 years, and that is live ready, beyond Think and Grow Rich, with your host, me, David Ibarra. And this is the last episode of Conversations with David Ibarra and the first episode of Live Ready, Beyond Think and Grow Rich. So, Mike, why don't we have a discussion about what in the heck are we doing this for?
Well, that was my question to you, David.
Okay.
You know, as we take a look, and going back to Napoleon Hill's Science of Success, mm-hmm. And then I know you've put a tremendous amount of time into rereading that, rewriting that into a more modern format. Tell us more about what is the rebadging of eLeader Tech? What does that mean?
Well, one of the things is we took the liberty of bringing in some advice. You know, one of the success principles is building a specialized talent team and understanding that no one individual has all the talent to get what they want alone. And so we asked somebody to come in and look at what we're going to do as our core purpose for the next 10 years. And what do we want to affect? And it was determined by us that we want to share with as many people as we can how to use their God-given gift that we have, the only animal on earth, to control our thought. How is it that you pivot from despair to joy? How is it that you operate in a positive state of mind so you can see the opportunities and the gifts that are everywhere? So we bring in a consultant. We've created an academy, a college, if you will, digital classes. We've put together a package for businesses, individuals. We're going to do more books, and documentaries. And funnest of all, we're going to feature Yes, Our Kids Can. How is it that you can teach the 10 principles of success that were discovered by a Napoleon Hill? The power of thought, purpose, talent development, actions, mindset, pleasing personality, adversity adjustment, sound health, utilization of time and money, and understanding the promise that everything we do, Mike, is an action paired with other like actions, creating patterns that give you rewards or penalties. How could we share that with our children at their earliest thought. So we've had great careers, but there is no stopping us now, because now this is about the joy and the power, the gift of giving. This book, Think and Grow Rich, changed my life. It was given to me as a dishwasher at 18. And I was told to read it by Robert E. Farrell. And if I read it, the owner of the Farrell's ice cream parlors, that he'd be my mentor. And I did.
Okay, with that, David, when we talk about Napoleon Hill's Science of Success, his principles,
yes,
and you've taken those principles and changed the order of them. But the number one principle was the principle of thought.
Yes.
And you just talked about what Yes, Our Kids Can, teaching a child early in life that they can be successful. Talk about thought as a young person, and what does it mean translating into an adult?
Well, it's interesting. Each one of us, when we enter this experience, this life, we come into an environment that is seeded with belief, positive state of mind, or disbelief. Success was not meant for us. A negative state of mind, apprehensive state of mind. And we enter it and we learn as infants from what we see, from what we hear. Nobody teaches us how to walk. We just, at around 9 months to 11 months, we just stand up and start to walk. How? Because we saw our parents, our brothers, our sisters walking. So we're affected by the environment in which we are raised. Now, giving the gift of parents, knowing that, the power of thought, and sharing that they can begin to teach their children from their earliest thoughts. We have one individual that's playing Yes, Our Kids Can, cartoons and music, story time with Senior Lionel. They're playing it with the infant, in the crib, in the background. Take a moment and picture in your mind igniting your child's journey to lifelong success from an early age. With Yes, Our Kids Can, this vision becomes a reality right from preschool. Don't miss this chance to shape your child's path towards extraordinary success. Enroll in the Yes, Our Kids Can University now and witness the remarkable impact it can have on your child's growth and development. Secure your child's bright future today. Sign up now by clicking the link below. He told me that he walked in and saw his older child of 4 talking to the newborn baby. You're special in your own special way. Now, when you have 2 children who are talking about a positive state in that way, and they're the discovered principles of success by Dr. Hill, we can change a child's belief from the very beginning. And now they entered a belief state of mind home. Wow, that's huge.
David, you talked about with thought, okay, positive state of mind, okay, and being the switch master of your own thoughts. At times, it can be pretty hard to do that. And would you just elaborate just a little bit more on that thought purpose and being able to be that switch master of your own thoughts?
It's really interesting, Mike. We've all heard we're in charge of our own thought. Are we? The majority of people are starting with apprehension. Today's not going to be a good day. Oh, I've got to go to work. Are we headed in the right direction as a family, as an individual, as a country, as a city? And when they're in that thought, what their emotions are doing, their imagination, are going out there connecting to other like thoughts or emotions. And it just buries you. There's only 3% of human beings that truly have control of their thought. Another 10 during a majority of their thought time, which is all the time. But 87% are operating in apprehension. That can be changed through repetition, through somebody teaching. I mean, think of that. Teaching. How is it that our thought process happens? It can be learned. So it does take time to replacing the seeding in your subconscious mind of believing that success is meant for you or believing that success is not meant for me or my family. You can change it. It takes repetition over about a 2-year period, starting with controlled. Help me get a coach, a mentor. Help me get these thoughts in my head until I get into, and that's called controlled success. Stage 2, the rhythm of success. I'm having moments that I can just feel it. It's like man, I'm in the rhythm. And then all of a sudden, it's unconscious competency. I reached the habit, and that's when you now are in control of your own thought. Now, we started Yes, Our Kids Can, and I was with a individual who was the founder of the company, Lionel Sosa, out of San Antonio, who had a contract with the San Antonio School District, and we've had thousands, 15,000 kids using this program simultaneously. We at eLeader Tech simply offered the gift of building the streaming system to deploy it to the schools. Now, Lionel has since retired, and I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity of taking the company in the eLeader Tech studio of products so we can handle it from the beginning to the end of our lives, learning how to control it. But Mike, the reason that I was so excited about having Yes, Our Kids Can, if we can teach it to an adult, you can understand it, read a book, and say, wow, yeah, that makes sense. How many people have read a book and said, wow, that makes sense, only to have within 60 days 86% of what they learned forgotten? The only way this becomes real is when you teach it to others. And who would you rather teach it to than your own children? So now, if we can get our adults teaching these cartoons and sing-along songs to their children, that's how they become a disciple of the work of the principles of success. And now they have the power of organized thought, and that's thought power.
You know, David, you gave the example of the person seeing his 4-year-old child.
Yeah.
Mentoring the little baby, already having those success principles. How much more successful is that person going to be? And it's just...
And it multiplies, and it multiplies,
yes,
and it
over
multiplies.
and over.
Yes.
It's huge.
Well, you know, there's no book that's been sold, I believe 80 million copies, something in that category, than Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill. And as you know, you and I are both certified master instructors in the philosophy of success by Dr. Hill. And I became a licensee of the principles for Mexico, then Central America, then the Latin Caribbean, and a part of South America, China, Singapore. We are the largest licensees of Dr. Hill's work in the world. And we had that talent coach ask me, so why is it that you have a podcast and it's not Beyond Think and Grow Rich? Because that's the name of our book, Live Ready, Beyond Think and Grow Rich. And as a disciple of Dr. Hill's work, I have the right, not only the right, but the obligation to keep it modernized, to keep them in the flow. You know, thought used to be like the 9th principle, referred to by Dr. Hill as a positive mental attitude. But if you think about it, until you have a positive state of mind thought, you will not consider doing something different than what you're currently doing. So it's the starting point of the desire to achieve something different that gets you to the point of asking a simple question. What is it that I want? And by asking that question, it pivots you into the second principle, which is purpose. And until you have a purpose, you have no destination. You're in park. You're not traveling forward. So that's the beginning. Those two together are the beginning of you taking your journey to get what you want in family, faith, community, health, or wealth.
So with purpose being the second principle, because you have to have that power of thought.
Yeah.
Now you've got a purpose. It is hard for a lot of people to really define what they want.
Well,
and how do you help people with that?
Any client that I serve, it all starts with an interview. And one of the first questions that I will ask is, Mike, let me ask you something. What is it that's causing you to seek out my advice, my mentoring today? What is it that's concerning you? And they'll tell me. In most businesses, it's, I just can't get good people. My reply is, you can't get good people, or that you don't know how to develop people that have gained the desire to want something different than what they have. And if it's the second, I can help you. And we do. Now, for us, it's in badging this, I can talk about a lesson, but the moment that I get to that, what do you want? Just give me a sentence. I want to have the best human beings working with me as a team as I can. Now, most often that business owner will say employees. I want the best employees. And I'll say, well, I'm sorry, I probably can't help you. And they'll look at me odd like, what do you mean? Well, I probably can't help you. Well, why is that? Well, you want employees. You're already seated that person is a liability, a cost of doing business. The first transition we would have to make is that you knowing and feeling that individual is a team member, an associate. And that's the first pivot I'd have to ask you to make. They are not a liability. They're an asset, your greatest asset. Because success cannot happen until you pair capital and talent. That utilized together creates success that others will have a difficult time matching. And then they answer the question. And now we're starting.
So we've got thought.
Yep.
We have purpose, which brings us to what you just said, talent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've talked about, and you've even talked during what we just talked about, a specialized talent team. Mm-hmm. How important is that in today's business?
I remind everybody that, look, you've achieved great things. I've achieved great things. Or have I? I would say this. The team that I assembled and used their talent as if it were my own, we achieved great things. No one does it on their own. So the third principle is developing a specialized talent team, knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're not good at. And if you're not good at it and don't want to learn that, then bring somebody in who does know that. And when it comes time to talk about the need for that talent to understand, that's when you become the student and not the teacher. Know when to lead and know when to follow. And both of them are powerful.
David, when we have that specialized talent team, we've got thought, purpose, talent, okay? But then it comes to the most important, to me, one of the most important things, actions.
Well, The fourth principle definitely is the power of actions, and that nothing happens until an action is put into motion, followed by another one, and another one, and another one, until it becomes a habit of we don't do repetition well. We have to do repetition well, because nothing happens until people know what they can be assured they'll get with us. Now, when we talk about this program and changing to Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich, hosted every week by me, I'll be talking to individuals. They may not have read Think and Grow Rich or Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich. But remember, those principles were discovered by people that were doing them. And we just found that where we saw success, and it was the same principles, that was the discovery of the philosophy of success. It was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, the steel leader in our country, the first billionaire, that he gave that responsibility to a young reporter by the name of Napoleon Hill, and told him that he would get him access to the 500 most successful people in the country, Ford, Firestone, Edison, and to look for those reoccurring principles, and that we could then share this secret. So we'll be interviewing people in our program that have executed a principle of success that is found in our Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich, and share their story. By listening to these stories, we will get the clues to where is our answers, and we will see what happens when we take that journey and wisdom is learned, gained. Now that's power, because you see, wisdom never gets old. It just gets stronger every time it's used.
You talk about actions. Mm-hmm. One action followed by another action, followed by another action. And I don't want to get into a course on ETS, but you developed and have a patent on executing the standards, which is just that. Yeah. One action, which leads to another action, but it leads to a success.
There's I'm not the smartest guy in the world, I'll tell you that. That is true. But I do have an imagination, and I do have an ability to work hard. And I recognize that everything in life is habits. So I started at Marriott, and they had a system that was kind of like management by objectives, Peter Drucker. And then I was a disciple of Napoleon Hill, and I started thinking about some of the processes that were used at Marriott. Why aren't they used everywhere? Like, you start off with every position. You can have a job description. Well, that's just wordy stuff. Or you could have the standard in which the job is measured in voice of the customer, profit. Profit is not a nasty word. It's a necessity, a process to deliver a good experience for the guest that uses your services or buys your product. And then, what are you going to do to continually learn? So those are the four elements. And then the actions that are done daily, weekly, or monthly that drive it, it's taking some of the principles, purpose, actions, and repetition, and putting them into a software that, yes, I did receive a U.S. patent. I feel very proud of that. Me and Ben Franklin, 6119097, patent, A Method of Management by David Ibarra.
Well, and again, talking just a little bit more about ETS, and I don't want to get into it too much because it's a whole different subject.
Yes.
We could spend a whole episode on it. But you have the actions, but you also have the why behind the actions. And then after that, the how. And that's so important. I mean, just to say, okay, you have to do this, this, and this, but you don't understand why.
Well, every single individual that in our, Live Ready, Beyond, Think and Grow Rich, and the e-leader tech suite of products, we work with businesses. And with each business, when you know your why and you know your how, the end result just becomes like, well, of course, it's going to happen. It's what? You know, most businesses start the opposite. Well, we've been doing this for a long, long time, and it's funny now you look at it, different people come into something that we think is pretty common and write a whole book about it, and they say, wow. Well, those things have been explained and shared in Dr. Hill's work, released in 1937, but it's not a natural act. So we continue to organize it, plan it, and talk about it, but we've got to make it a discipline of doing. And that's where we come into our fifth principle, which is mindset. And in there, we put 7 of the principles that is kind of like a 7-gear transmission that drives the brain model engine and is fueled by a positive state of mind fuel system. And if you have those all right, you never run out of energy. But those gears are, today I choose to do more than what my clients' friends expected of me. I will have the personal initiative to get started, the personal discipline to stay within the deliverables. I'll have controlled attention. I'll be present. I'm not going to be bouncing. I'll have controlled enthusiasm, accurate thought, and creativity. When I have those 7 in motion, it creates a different kind of action because now faith is paired with it. And the action is done with full belief. And that's the core principles that we teach and we'll be talking about in our new podcast. Every week, we're going to be talking about a story of somebody achieving what they wanted, utilizing one of these principles of Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Napoleon Hill and Modernize, Live Ready Beyond Think and Grow Rich by David Ibarra, me. And when I think of it, a kid, a non-traditional start, raised in foster care for the first 14 years of my life, a dishwasher at 18 years old, going nowhere, and being able to write books, being invited to speak in China at the Chinese Automobile Dealers Association in Chengdu, 9,000 Chinese dealers. Well, it made good sense for us to buy the rights to China. But all across this country to serve individuals that have put their life savings into businesses. And those business owners can be change makers with individuals. So they go home, a different husband, a different wife, a different dad, a different mom, a different neighborhood. And we can change a neighborhood. We can change a house. We can change a city. And with our podcasts and our documentaries to come and the business component of the academies that we've built and the self-improvement courses for individuals, we're not the company, Mike, that's going to have a big convention and get everybody all excited and have them walk out spending $25,000, $30,000 with us. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, we're for everyday people. Everybody can afford what we're selling. But more importantly, we're going to stay with you until it becomes a discipline because we're more interested in getting this message to everyone that has asked the question, how is it that I get what I could and should have in life? And that's why we're doing the new program, rebadging it, and we'll be talking to people every week. Haven't chose the exact day of the week yet, but we're going to end conversations with David Ibarra. No, the conversations are just going to be about a very specific topic, one of the principles, and how it was used by an individual or a company to achieve extraordinary results or an extraordinary life.
David, I'm going to end with one thing.
Yes.
You know, they say if you love what you do, it's not work.
Mm-hmm.
You must not work at all.
I don't work at all. I tell you what, this weekend it was really interesting. We were working on a proposal for entering the China market, and And I realized that I had been working and taking a little break, a walk or this or that for, I'd say on Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, about 20 hours on this. And I didn't feel like I worked a moment. It was joyful. When you can get in front of people and help them gain the power of their thought, and they become disciples teaching others, I think you will have left your mark on your visit to this life. And I want to make sure when I leave with a smile.
Well, David, thank you for letting me interview you.
Thank you so much. And you're the best, Mike. I really appreciate our friendship, our partnership in this effort. And without you, it would be most difficult.
Thank you, David.